We got to show you what Ice Trae did last night because, my goodness, it was cold in there. We should have known. I mean, when the shades are coming through, the Atlanta Hawks are trailed by 13
That ain't true.
with under 6
Shades
to
are not
play.
an indicator of nice play.
I mean, this
was.
No shade here. Look at this. Like, Trae, I watched this entire game because I was here in studio for the late night. At many moments, you thought, oh, the Celtics are going to pull this out. Nope. They took full control behind Trae Young. I think he was like 100% usage rate in clutch time.
100%.
Unreal.
Well, we could talk about how this maybe showed some of the weaknesses that the Celtics have had all year, but I just want to focus on this incredible performance by Trae Young first, Perk.
Oh, absolutely. He was straight dominant. And look, in attack mode, but he's used to these environments.
Yeah, I mean,
loves these environments.
He said he likes to be the villain.
Yeah. Big mistake right here, Malika. How are you going to foul a shooter that close to half court away from the basket?
Marcus Smart
Discipline.
knows.
Too much.
Jalen Brown knows the mistake that was made. So to the free throw line we go, and then into the backcourt. Trae Young, once again, I mean,
Too much
this is
space.
just,
Best shot possible.
you can't do that.
He's backing up. You see Jalen Brown backing up.
Don't back up on that, man.
Silly, baby.
Go out of from Quinn Snyder.
So Atlanta gets the win. Trae Young, you mentioned it, Sinead, took over in crunch time of Game 5 to stave off elimination, and Young outscored the Celtics in the final 6 minutes of the game 14-8, and one big reason for that was turnovers, right? The Celtics had 4 down the stretch. It set the stage for Young's dagger. Let's take a listen to John Collins.
Fourth quarter time, close game. You know, I'm sort of, you know, at this point being with Trae my whole career, you know, I know what time it is. Like, it's Ice Trae. And he does his thing. He's clutch. He wants to be in those moments, and he wants the big shot. So it's sort of normal for me to see him go into that mode and do what he does.
I know this is where, you know, you show what you're made of in moments like this. So whatever you got to do, you know, recovery-wise, mentally-wise, you know, it's over with now. Ain't nothing we could do to get it back. So we got opportunities in front of us, and let's not, you know, lose those opportunities. Think about, you know, what happened last game. Just got to come out and be ready for the next one.
All right, taking nothing away from Trae Young's performance here. 38 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists, 4 rebounds. There we go. That's what it is. But I do want to talk about the Celtics here, Perk, because on the other side, how big is this collapse for them? What is your concern level here?
Well, Malika, I actually don't want to talk about the Celtics. Oh. I actually want to take a moment of silence. Y'all follow my drill.
This is live TV, bro.
That's for Trae Young. That's for Trae Young. Paying our respects more to Trae Young. 38-13 in the Garden. No DeJounte Murray. And he gets the job done. But here's the thing, right? I'm sick and tired of the disrespect when it comes down to Trae Young. Like, we keep on with this movie, his Trae Young movie, and it's starting to be fiction. When are we going to start telling the true story about his career? When are we going to start appreciating what he's doing and stop disrespecting him? Look, when it comes down to Trae Young, he averaged 25, 26, and 10 this season. Last year led the entire league in total points and assists. And on top of that, we forget about what he did to the Knicks in the Garden, what Donovan Mitchell is struggling to do right now. We forget that he actually ended the marriage between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. We forget that he had Giannis and the Bucks on the brinks of actually eliminating them and going to the finals if he wouldn't have turned his ankle on the official foot. So when I think about Trae Young, who has led the Hawks 3 out of 5 years to the postseason, right, without another bona fide superstar, and we label him as a coach killer. How? When Nate McMillan wasn't supposed to get the job in the first place. He actually stepped in as an intern. He was the guy that came in, and Trae just happened to elevate his game to actually let Nate get the job. So when I think about Trae and I think about what he's been doing, averaging a career in points, 25 and 9 assists, the disrespect has to stop to some point. The man is getting the job done. He's a bona fide superstar. He has risen to the occasion at every level, on every stage, even in the postseason. I just want to take time to appreciate and wonder, when are we going to start telling the true story of his movie and stop with the fiction?
Well, there was a lot of folks that were maybe doubting the Atlanta Hawks' ability to push this series even further, because get this. Game 6 is in Atlanta. It's on Thursday. And just one teeny tiny little issue here, Perk. State Farm is already booked for a Janet Jackson concert.
Sign of disrespect.
And so you can see what Trae Young said. Sorry, not sorry to this legend. Hope she can be at the game now. But what's your concern level here on the Celtics side of things, Shanae?
Yeah, I think that we thought this season we'd see a step in maturity, especially late game, because last season a lot of it was like, oh, they made mistakes down the stretch, oh, they were tired. But now we talked all season long, hey, all year long, hey, this is one of the deepest teams of basketball. Hey, they play great basketball on both ends. And then to see a game where they could really close things out, it felt like they were just, shadow watching and just sleepwalking through that final fourth quarter, instead of, you're on your home floor. Do exactly what needs to be done. So many mistakes were made that I was like, what's going on here? No timeouts being called to sort of regroup the team. That is a bigger conversation of what's happened in the playoffs. It sort of seems like people are like, learn through the fire. We've seen this in multiple games. No, win the game.
Yeah, you have to learn in the offseason.
Listen, and don't call a timeout when you don't have one.
We have seen mistakes with timeouts littered throughout this first round of the postseason. Some that cost teams games, some that were close. It's been interesting. But I will say this about the Boston Celtics. Not worried. Perk, how many games did it take you guys to win the first round when you won the championship?
Took us 7.
How many games did it take you to win in the second round?
7.
Then next round?
6.
Next round?
6.
It can take time for people to figure this out and get going. Just because you're the 1 versus the 8 or the 2 versus the 7, that don't matter. You're playing against high-level pros that are locked in, ready to go. It might take a game or 2. So for me, I don't look at this as a problem. It's things that they need to address moving forward.
Right.
But at least they know what they need to address.
The one thing I will say is you do give Joel Embiid just a little more time, right? That's the one sort of silver lining of that. You give Joel just a little more time to rest up, to be more prepared.
They're not worried about
available.
Joel.
They may not be scared of Joel, but I would be. Let's get to some news now out of Houston. The Rockets, they have hired Ime Udoka as their next coach. And in late September, remember, Udoka was suspended by the Celtics for the season. Now, the Rockets, they held an introductory press conference for Udoka today. He took questions from reporters, and it was for the first time since that suspension. Take a listen.
They've done their due diligence and homework on who I am as a person. I think we spent quality time together, getting to know each other, and we clicked pretty easily and pretty well. But overall, I released a statement months ago when everything happened, and apologized to a lot of people for the tough position I put them in, and I stand by that, and I feel much more remorse even now towards that. And so, I spent this last off season working on myself in a lot of different ways, improving in areas, chance to sit back, reflect, and grow, and I think that'll make me a better coach and overall a better leader. But the matter has been resolved, and I can't really speak much about it.
So clearly, Udoka is inheriting a team that has a really bright young core here. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., Alperen Şengün, nearly $60 million in cap space heading into the offseason. But the big key is their lottery odds, right? They have a 14% chance to win the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes that is tied for the best odds in the lottery. So they clearly hired a win-now coach. Perk, what do you make of this fit for the Rockets?
I actually love the hire. When you think about what Ime Udoka did with the Boston Celtics for as getting Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum to come together on one accord and make a finals run in his first year. The thing that I love most about him is that he's going to hold guys accountable. He's going to call out his superstars. And I believe that's what, Porter need, and Jalen Green. He also need that as well. And Jabari Smith, they need structure. Right? So you need a coach that's going to come in that is well respected around the league for his other players. You hear about Jason Tatum. You hear Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart rave on how much they love Ime Udoka because he has that relationship and is able to speak their language in the locker room.
Well, the Rockets, they owe a top 4 protected pick to OKC next year. That's thanks to the CP3 Russell Westbrook trade. So if they are feeling the pressure, right, to win right now, they have clearly hired a coach who is proven to be able to come in, make an impact, and do so. All right, let's get back to the playoffs, because still to come on NBA Today, the Suns and the Nuggets have officially booked their tickets to the second round. So how Devin Booker did something that has never been done before, Richard. Plus, speaking of guards, I think we have